now that you have your Google Home speaker set up, let's play around with it a bit. Remember, to get our Google Home device to start actively listening to us, first we have to say the words, "Hey Google." As you notice, Google lit up our Google Home, but I don't have a question for it yet.
Sorry, I didn't understand.
No worries, Google. I didn't ask anything yet. So let's play around with our Google Home, shall we? We can ask things about the weather, such as, "Hey Google, what's the weather like today?"
Right now in Sunnyvale, it's 66 degrees and sunny. Today, it'll be sunny with a forecasted high of 69 and a low of 47.
Awesome, thanks for that. I can also ask questions like, "Hey Google, what is the weather like in Lake Tahoe on Saturday?"
Saturday in Lake Tahoe, it'll be sunny with a high of 55 and a low of 28.
The questions that we can ask our Google Home aren't just limited to the weather. We can ask about the date and time. We can ask about holidays and events. For example, "Hey Google, what time is it in Tokyo, Japan right now?"
The time in Tokyo, Japan is 6:21 a.m. on Saturday.
I can also ask it, "Hey Google, when is Mother's Day this year?"
Mother's Day in United States will be on Sunday, May 9th, 2021.
Awesome. So aside from asking about the weather, asking about the date and time, or holidays and events, we can also ask things about like health-related issues, international time, as I demonstrated earlier. We can ask about converting currency, just like, for example, "Hey Google, how much is $5 in euros?"
$5 is approximately 4 euros and 17 cents.
Awesome. Or I can even ask for help with translation. "Hey Google, how do you say thank you in Korean?"
In Korean, you would say,
감사합니다.
So as you can see, the amount of questions you can ask are infinite. Google Home isn't just for asking questions though. Your Google Home also comes with a feature called Intepreter Mode. Let me tell you a little bit about this mode before we test it out. Interpreter Mode allows you to have a conversation with someone speaking a different language than you. It will listen to languages being spoken and translate what the other person is saying. To use Interpreter Mode, first we got to say, "Hey Google, turn on Interpreter Mode."
what language do you want translated?
Now I'm going to go ahead and say,
What language do you want translated?
English and Spanish.
Sure, I'll be your interpreter. When you hear this sound, it means I'm listening. Let's get started.
¿Cuándo voy a ir para San Francisco?
When am I going to San Francisco?
¿A qué hora vamos a comer?
What time are we going to eat?
¿Va a llover mañana?
It will rain tomorrow.
¿Estás seguro?
You're sure?
Yes, I'm sure.
Sí, estoy seguro.
Is it going to rain tomorrow?
¿Va a llover mañana?
What's the weather like tomorrow?
¿Qué tiempo hará mañana?
Hey Google, stop.
Sure, I'll stop translating.
As you guys can see, it's pretty neat, right? All you have to do is once you tell it to activate interpreter mode, the next step is going to be you're going to tell it which languages you want it to interpret. It can be English and Spanish, it can be English and Japanese, Spanish and Chinese, Hindi and Russian, basically anything you guys would want, and it will translate for you. Whatever language you speak to the device, it will translate in the opposite language. You just have to pay attention and listen to that little popping sound that comes out of the Google Home so that you know when either to speak or to listen. Before you use interpreter mode, I do have a couple suggestions for you. One, make sure you speak clearly and enunciate words that come out sounding like other words. For example, if I say the word draw, I got to be careful that it doesn't pick up drawl. Or if I say eating, I already have to enunciate eating, otherwise it might pick up the word feeding. Another tip I have is stay close to your Google Home speaker when you're using interpreter mode, and also try not to have too much background noise because it could interfere with what it's listening to. My next suggestion is try to shy away from using slang words as much as possible. Another suggestion is be sure to wait for that tone I mentioned earlier that our Google Home told us to listen for, that little popping sound. The tone is going to be before and after any translations to let both ourselves and the Google Home know when it's time to either speak or listen. My final suggestion for you guys is just really be patient with it, okay? This is probably the most important suggestion I have for you. Interpreter mode isn't perfect and it will sometimes misunderstand you. If that happens, just go ahead and repeat yourself or maybe rephrase what you're saying. Now that we've learned about interpreter mode and we saw how asking questions work, you can see that Google Home is pretty neat and it can also be pretty handy. Be sure to be patient with it, play around with it, practice. In no time, you'll be able to use your Google Home for anything you'll need.